All right, guys. Welcome everybody to the this Sunday's presentation, and it's going to be on one of my favorite topics, sketch notes for the classroom. And if you're not familiar with sketch notes, I'm going to go over it. We'll do a nice overview, and we'll get into detail as well how they're used in the classroom, and some of the cool ways that you can have your students using sketch notes for note taking, and you as a teacher might even want to use sketch notes at at time to time in your life. So let's get going here, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is let me present. Let me hit present here. We'll go full screen. And we'll start by looking at some examples, some actual examples of some sketch notes. So here's the first one. It's pretty cool. It says from Alfie Cohn, unconditional parenting. And I'm a parent, and it's something I can definitely learn a thing or two. And you take a look here. It's if first off, you can see there's actually a train of thought to it. You can see where it's going from chapter one to chapter two to chapter three, different principles. There's a lot of drawings in it. There's connectors. There's arrows, and you can really see the flow of information. And that's what these sketch notes are about. It's not just about drawing pictures and things like that. It's the process of it's active learning. And it's the process of absorbing information and putting that information on paper. So this is a really cool one. And this is the guy right here. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. Mike Rohde. He's kind of the person that put SketchNotes in the forefront here. So we're giving credit to him before this starts. So all credit to Mike. All right, so here's a quick overview, right? So he's credited, and SketchNotes lately have become very popular in education. And I did a video on this, I don't know, I think 3 years ago or something like that. And I'm always getting great comments on that video, and people want to learn more and things like that. So that's what sort of prompted me to do this SketchNote presentation. So again, right? So teachers and students that have been using sketch and have taken up this activity, they're known as what's called the SketchNote Army. And you can see this little guy on the right here. He's got a gun in his hand. I don't know if this is going to be a problem for YouTube with the weapons and whatnot, but it's a cute little picture here, and it's called the SketchNote Army. So once you start using sketchnotes as a part of your learning process, you've joined the SketchNote Army. And here's again a quick overview, right? So first off, sketch notes are a form of note taking, but it's a unique form because it's not that old boring typical note taking where you're just writing it down and you're not really thinking. Students absorb information presented by the speaker. Okay, so sketch notes, you as a teacher, you're gonna want your students to use these sketch notes, and if you're sitting through a PD or something like that, or you're trying to learn something like we just saw one on unconditional parenting, you might want to do that too. You might want to do a little bit of sketch notes. You know what I mean? It could be beneficial to you. So so students want to absorb information from the speaker, and what they have to do is they have to break down, summarize, and base conclusions on what they've learned. So again, this is an active thinking process. Thoughts are transferred onto paper in the form of a beautiful visual map. I'm very, as a teacher, I've tried to make my classroom as beautiful as possible. I've always loved graphic organizers and infographics, and most of the videos I do here, if you see them, they're really just infographics. So I'm like a visual person. And with sketchnote students, they get to create. They can make connectors, drawing. It's a fun process. It's very fun. So traditional note taking is a boring experience for most students. What are they doing? They're mindlessly copying what's written on the board. Sketchnotes, on the other hand, is an engaging activity. Students, they must listen. They got to think, write, and create. So sketch notes become artifacts and examples of student work. Okay, I did use this before. It was when I taught science, biology specifically, and I was able to hang them up in my classroom. Okay, and this is when the school had a lot of money, and we did big poster boards of sketch notes, and it was beautiful. I don't, I do have some pictures. I should have put them up with my own students. I don't have them though, but I probably should have done that. All right, so again, right, it's sketch notes become artifacts and examples of student work, right? So I've got a picture here. It's like students, they love to sketch notes, right? So this little thing right here, these are your students' heart sketch notes. They love it. And they've always, and whenever I did it as an activity, they were grateful. So this is a video by me that I did earlier. I'm not going to play it for you. I'll put I'll put a link in the information page. But it's a quick overview of SketchNotes, and a lot of the images here and information from this video I'll use in this presentation. So we're going to skip here. And this is the infographic that I've used on SketchNotes. Now this itself is actually not a SketchNote, but it's just like it's just like I said, I'm a very visual learner, and I love to teach with diagrams and things like that. So let's get it going here, right? So when should you SketchNote? When should you SketchNote? Okay, if you're a teacher and you're at a PLC meeting or at a teacher meeting, or if you're at, you're getting your graduate degree, whether it be mathematics, you can SketchNote there. Students can SketchNote during class in school, even if they're at home now. I know we were all doing virtual learning and things like that. You can have them SketchNote at home. Professional development conferences, or we're really started to SketchNotes. Mike Rohde, I hope I'm saying his name right. So he talks a lot about professional development conferences and diaries of SketchNotes, right? So you could do that as well. You can make a diary. You could have students have a diary, and it could be SketchNotes and things like that. So these are some different ways and possibilities that you can use SketchNotes. Sketchnoting not only helps students memorize information. Okay, and let's be honest, I know memories are the lowest form of information, but we still need our students to memorize the basic facts, whether it be times tables, whether it be biology course, just knowing the function of certain things in the cell, and certain things have to be memorized before you can go to those higher level thinking processes, such as creating and evaluating. So sketchnoting, it helps with memorization, but it also helps with comprehension. Now that's the next level, right? If you think of Bloom's taxonomy, it starts with memorization, and the next level above is comprehension. So students utilize this high-level thinking when they're sketchnoting, as opposed to your typical rote note-taking, where students, they just tune out. Because students are not simply copying material. Okay, they're not copying. This is important too. SketchNote is not just copying a diagram on a board. As a student, you have to copy it. You know what I mean? If you're the sketchnoter, you don't have to copy. You have to create. You have to create it your way. All right. It's a thinking process. All right. You got to think. So why should we use sketchnotes, right? Why should educators use sketchnotes? Well, first off, they're exciting and it's new right now. It's a novel experience, although it's getting more popular. They're a great visual representation of summarized content, and it's easy for students to study from. And if the student makes it themselves, they're bonded to that material. So, that's something I realize too with the students. When they make their own sketch notes, okay, they love it. They want to keep it. They probably hold on to it for a very long time, even after my class. Whenever you create something, you always think it's better than it is. They call it like the IKEA effect. So what that means is, like, if you go to IKEA and you get the tools and you build yourself like a little chair or something like that, you think it's the greatest chair in the world because you built it. And you could see that in the students as well. And I'll talk about that IKEA effect later on. So many students have actual joy from doodling. It's very therapeutic, I think. I remember being in detention and all that stuff when I was a kid, and I would just like bubble doodle my name. It's very therapeutic. And, as more class notes are being assigned electronically, there's not as much need for students to copy notes. So I think that's very important here, right? We don't need students to just copy notes on the board because we're doing it electronically. Most of us are, just especially with the virtual teaching now, we just send it out to the students anyway. So they don't have to copy the notes on the board. They already have that. Keep them busy. Let them do a sketch note and doodle something. Again, why use sketch notes, right? With SketchNote, students are better able to connect different ideas, and that's what they have to do, and we're going to get into that as well. As time goes on, students will make better sketch notes, and they're going to view their sketch notes as works of art. Okay, this is what I just said. We were going to get to the IKEA effect, right? People always attribute greater value to the things that they've personally created, the IKEA effect, because students create their own sketch notes. They assign it greater value, and they think it's the greatest thing ever. So these are, again, just some of the reasons why, right? Kids love to doodle. They can identify main ideas. They think that it's works of art. And it's not as boring, right? It's not the conventional boring sketch notes. So here are 5 steps. First, gather the materials. Okay, you know what you're going to need. You're going to need pen, paper. You could make it colorful. Not pen. First, you want to start with a pencil. But, we'll get into all this again, right? So get all the materials you need. Identify the main topic. So when you're going to, so let's say it's like chapter 2, and the topic is cellular division. All right, that's your main topic. So if you're doing a sketch note, and you have to teach the students how to do this again, so that would be the big thing, on the front of the paper. And you're going to go from big ideas to smaller ideas, and that's how they're able to connect ideas and nest ideas, and know what main topics are. They have to actively listen to the speaker and process what's being said. And during the lecture, they got to capture the large idea and the small idea. Specific quotes. So if something that the speaker or the teacher says that's really important or emphasizes, they put specific quotes around that. And any important details have the students write out. And this is where the artwork really gets into it down here, where it says add containers, arrows, stars, flares, whatever you can to make your sketch notes a beautiful visual representation. So step 1, gather the materials. Okay, take a look right there. You got a nice piece of paper. That's a sketchbook. You've got a pencil. This is a beautiful example here. You could have colored pencils. Those things are kind of like, and I have them. I don't know what they're called, but I have them for my kids. They're like kind of like marker pens. And eventually after you do, you could do colored pencil, but you might want to do it in pencil and then go over it with pen. That's what I like to do personally. So let me just go back. It's creative. It's art. It could be any way you want. It doesn't have to be just pencil or just pen or whatever. So the first thing you need is a notebook with plain white paper, and begin with an inexpensive notebook. Don't start with the most expensive one. Beginners should start off with a pencil, which can be used to outline. A black tip pen that doesn't smudge. You don't want that either. That's happened to me as well. You don't want to get on your clothes or nothing like that. You'll need a black marker pen that isn't too thick, and you don't have to do the black marker pen. Those are great. And we did a sketch note one time. It was like a foam board. We used a black marker pen, so I recommend that for it. Colored pencils are welcome. Again, you can add color to it. You know what I mean? These, again, with the materials, I like to look at it as an art project. I don't like to put too many rules on it for gathering the materials. Step 2, identify the main topic. It's important to understand and establish both big ideas and small ideas for comprehensions. Okay, so for example, look to the right here. Causes of the Revolutionary War. So you want to have the big ideas: the Tea Act, the Intolerable Act, the Boston Massacre, and then maybe the French Indian War there, and you got a little picture there. Okay, so this thing right here to the right, this is can be part of a sketch note. Okay, but notice students should first write down the main topic. So here's the main topic. That's what you always start off with, and then you have your bigger ideas and then your smaller ideas. I hope I'm not freezing here. Okay, let me go back one. Okay, so it should be very easy for students to identify the main topic of a lecture. If you're teaching and you're having your students do sketch notes, let them know this is the main topic. Write it down until they get better at it. So, students can identify the main topic if the teacher writes it on the board, if it's a chapter section of a textbook, if it's section 2.2, maybe it's 2.2 in, let's say, physics class, and you're working on velocity of moving objects, whatever. The topic is mentioned early in the lecture, and it can be found in your syllabus on Google Classroom. All right, if you're using Google Classroom, maybe you put your topic of the day or something like that. So it should be easy for the students to identify the main topic. And that's the first thing, right? So if you're teaching and you're having your students do the sketch notes, go around the room at first. All right, that's what I had to do, and make sure they all were getting the main topic right. A cool little thing. All right, step 3, the students have to actively listen. And let me go back to it, right? So what was step 1? Just want everybody to know. First, you get materials, identify the main topic, and then they got to listen. Okay, it requires students to listen, not just take notes. That's the difference. Not just write everything down. The sketchnoting is not all writing. Now, as you actively listen, you can write down the ideas on a paper that have been being processed in your head. Capture the important ideas and put them down on paper. So whatever's important, have the students write that down on paper. You got to capture all the all the ideas that come to your head. So if and they're gonna miss things, but as it goes on, I said they're gonna get better. Specific quotes from the teacher. You might want to emphasize something, sort of lean them in the right direction. So maybe you're saying, oh, you know what I mean, the Tea Act was really an important reason for the cause of the Civil War, and then you want to repeat it again. The TEAC, and that'll teach them to, write down that quote. This step is more about capturing the right content as opposed to make it visually appealing. Even though writing down a quote might not seem like, oh, it makes it look beautiful, they still have to get, it's more important to get the content than to make it beautiful. And they could always add to it. So don't worry about the appearance of the words, ideas, and quotes at first. So at first, don't worry about it. Remember, we got to get the content first. Learning is the first goal. So at times you're gonna have to write quickly. You're gonna use abbreviations, and as students get better, they can use abbreviation. They'll learn to leave out like certain unnecessary words. Just be sure to get the important ideas down on paper. And now we talk about step 5, which is to add the flair. So the ideas captured in step 4 can connect to each other. They can be accentuated. They can build upon other elements. Again, this is where you want to make the SketchNote a work of art. So check this out here. I don't really think this is much of a SketchNote. This is just drawing here. This might be a bad example here, but you can see like arrows and connectors. So that's what you want to do. You want to connect the ideas, and they really do make this little thing look nice. Although I don't think that's an official SketchNote. So So adding flair is probably the most exciting part for the student. This is when they get their own style, and whether the student has artistic, because I hear that a lot too. Oh, I'm not an artist. I'm going to do this. Just tell them to just go ahead and try your best. You're not grading on it, for art. If you do use this as an assignment or a project, start off by, you got to have, there's a learning curve. You don't want to give them all low, you shouldn't give them low grades. You want them to learn and get better from it. You want to encourage them to foster this skill. So typical types of flair include containers, stars, and things like that. You can see here, it's got some star. It's got all different things here, right? So I don't even know what this is. But they've got containers and arrows, and again, more examples of sketch notes. So this is a good review. All right, so get the materials, identify the main topic, actively listen during class. This is what and this is how the student's going to sketch note. Or you as a teacher, you might want to sketch note, right? Get materials, identify the topic, listen, capture ideas and quotes, add containers, stars, flair, whatever you got to do. SketchNotes ingredients. So what really goes in on the paper? Although you don't want sketch notes to look like typical notes, but you still have to write down important pieces of information. So you need basic written text. Okay, you can embellish on the text. The type of text is used to stand out. So you could draw tiles. I like drawing bubble letters. Take a look here. It says the Civil War, but it's kind of like bubbled in. Protons are positive to the left. Again, you could write it big. You want it to be fun. Cell wall. Basic shapes are scattered throughout to outline, to emphasize, to organize information. So maybe you're talking about, let's just say we're talking about like biology, and we're talking about like parts of the cell, and the first thing we're doing is the mitochondria, and maybe you put like a little circle around mitochondria, and then you do Golgi apparatus, you write that word, you do it, and then maybe you want to put all these things together and put them in a box. And then that'll be like the animal cell, and then you could do the plant cell wall, and then put that in like a squiggly thing, and it'll separate. There's all cool ideas, and that's not that was credit to one of my students from the past, Christian. So here's some shapes, right? Pentagon. Take a look here. Underline, whatever you got to do. Okay, bullets. You could use bullets, diamonds, triangles. Circle a word. Goes on and on, right? Containers. That's kind of what I was talking about, right? You can group bits of information and spotlight their importance. So there are some containers, different containers. I like the little cloud one. You can do this it looks like a POW sign, that looks like the Batman sign. Connectors are also an important ingredient, right? These are the arrows, but it doesn't have to be an arrow. You could see here this connector. It's like two circles with just a line, or it could be arrows. It can just be here, this pointing to one direction. But connectors are used to connect ideas of information and to convey the flow of information. Okay, so if you're a teacher and you're going through the textbook, and you go from one section to the next, students can draw arrows, from one paragraph to the next paragraph, and get the key idea from this paragraph, key idea from the next paragraph. Okay. And you do want to add drawings and doodles, as they get better. And a lot of the drawings and the doodles come afterwards. Like they do that on their own. Like so after they write down the important words by you, they'll draw something on it themselves. So maybe you're going over, well, we talked about history, science. Let's talk about, I don't know, English, an English play. Like they're doing Romeo and Juliet. So maybe they're writing down all important information. And then, they're not going to have time to draw, they talk about a rose, right? A rose. But yeah, what's that quote from Romeo and Juliet? A rose by any other name. I don't know, but it was. I knew it at one point. It was a good one. Anyway, so they could draw a rose there, and the rose they're not going to draw during, the lesson. Maybe they'll do that afterwards if they want to draw it like really beautiful. Okay. So again, as students get better, they'll be able to make draw clearer representations, and they could draw just little things, stick figures, hands, little animals, some papers, whatever. So here are some tips. If a teacher plans to have their students sketch note in the classroom, you got to commit to this thing if you want to do it. Okay. Many students are going to resist at first because they're going to say, I'm not artistic, I'm not artistic, but tell them it don't matter. It's note taking. None of that matters. Just assure them that. So assure students they won't be judged on the quality of their sketch notes, and they aren't. Don't make it earlier I said if you want to grade them on it, but you really should make it an assessment. It's not. But if that's the thing. If they come out really nice, sometimes you have to make it an assessment to get them to do it and dive into it. You could say it's a classwork grade. So here's the kid, right? But I'm not artistic. They're always going to say that, and you'll be surprised how good some of these things come out. Again, it's important to get students the opportunity to practice as much as possible. What practice makes perfect. Students, they're going to improve. So as students get better with sketchnoting, they're going to start to like it. You always like things you're good at. You know what I mean? So the more they practice, the more they like it. They'll start to take pride in their work. And again, it's a process of trial and error, like anything in life, trial and error. Trial, try, fail, life, try, fail, right? Trial and error. Here's another kind of one, online marketing. And a lot of this is like I said, it doesn't have to be school related. And everybody's sketch note might not make sense, but it makes sense to them. Remember, the sketch note's got to make sense to the person that's doing it because they're using it to study. Earlier I was talking about trial and error. So you do want to instill a growth mindset in your students. The idea of a growth mindset is that, a talent isn't fixed. You can become very talented at something if you try and you learn from your mistakes and you push and you keep pushing yourself. These are some sketch notes I did, kind of sketch notes. I did this here. I used my software instead though, but, it's sort of opened up and I have the students sort of color it in at first, just to get an idea. So, you can have the sketch note could be open and then you could color it in. So some artists choose not to color their sketch notes. I always like to color. I just like bright colors and things. So just here's a quick review because we're finished here, right? So what are typical ingredients of sketch notes, right? What did I say? I said containers, shapes, and text. Okay, I didn't say cells. I don't know what that means. Which of the following is the last step in this presentation of sketch? What's the last thing you have to do? The last thing you want to do is make it artistic, right? The most important things are to get the idea, capture ideas, gather your materials. True or false? Sketchnoting is an activity where students must think, listen, and write and create. Absolutely true. And which of the following materials are not associated with sketch notes? As of now, laptops are not. I don't know if in the future we're going to be able to have some sort of pen thing. I bought this pen to help me write, to do when we went virtual, I bought this pen because it's hard for me to use the Jamboard or, Canva or whatever. So it's hard for me to write with my hand, and especially if I'm doing math problems. And it hasn't worked out. It's always a problem. So it really hasn't been working out. So now you can go and you can create. You can have your students create. Go try it out. It could be a lot of fun here. All right, guys. So this is one of this is this Sunday's professional development. Thank you for stopping by. I'm gonna try to keep it going. I'll try to get another one next Sunday, and I'm gonna try to get more interesting topics and stuff like this. And next Sunday I want to do more topics that are more for us, the teacher, like teacher survival, job interviews, ways we can save money, more, because a lot of it that I do is focused on the students. I do want to get some stuff focused on the, on the teacher. Some I want to do like a stress management one. There's a lot of ideas I have, but anyway, right now, just want to say thank you for stopping by.